Hello. Welcome to a video that I'm actually going to be talking about Sapphire Steel, which I haven't done in a hot minute, really, because I'm quite excited to play it again in set 9. I, of course, myself lost like a bit of faith, I guess, but it's strange to see that it's such a dedicated color combo. There's a bunch of lists up there that have been doing very well and people have been talking very highly of, so I'm going to cover them in this video because I kind of like and respect the dedication to it and everything they've achieved with the color combo. Myself as well, they're excited for set 9, of course doing early prep with whatever information I can gather, and I'm still excited to see if Alice Pluto is going to be useful. But again, I've kind of been thinking about it a bit more and thinking, do I really need Ward if they're not going to bring out a lot of the good action cards, like we've had in the previous sets? Do I really need to have Ward anymore? If there's no Sisu, do I really need to care about coiling and stuff like that? So yeah, I'm excited to play them again in set 9, but hopefully just give them a try. It's the start of a set. It's always good to just try new things and see what really works there. So I'm excited for set 9, but there's a lot of lists and a lot of dedicated Sapphire Steel players who are still doing very well with the color combo in this set, which is really amazing to see, and I'm going to cover a few of them now. I've just put a silly graphic on the screen to start the video off with to show that I still do love Sapphire Steel and I still do love playing Alice and Pluto. But yeah, I've gained 4 lists here that I just thought were really nice. I've seen them posted around on Twitter. I've seen the results played. I've seen some like videos and some things, and I've also seen like just free Dreamboard as well. They've all done very well, which is really cool. And the first one to start off with is Justin Morales' list, which when I saw the actual list written down, I was quite surprised by it because it's the first time I don't believe he's played this competitively at many events. Maybe he's store champs. I think he's done it with, but whenever I've seen his list before, he plays over 60 cards, which here has 60 in it. And for some reason, all the cards, like, there's a lot of one-offs and stuff. I think he leans into the fact that he has Whole New World, which is pretty great because it means you can do a lot more one-offs and stuff. You're going to see a lot of your deck. But yeah, in his Sapphire Steel ramp wheel list, they were always like, I wouldn't say all over the place. They were very justified why the counts of cards were in there. The player is incredibly good, so he knows the reasons why he's playing things at certain counts. But to see a 2-liner that's almost completely 4x'd was just very surprising for me. But he's gone for the ally build, utilizing all of the great allies that you get. When I say great allies that you get in this set. And yeah, to be honest with you, the Alice shift is really good. But it has a lot of drawbacks in the fact that she can just be brawled. And I think the main issue after I was testing Alice out, I found was that, if they're printing a card like Rhino shift on 2 and you're doing an Alice shift on 2, you're going to have to sing Alice or Jasmine. I'm getting my princesses mixed up. You're going to have to do something like sing Zeus on that because, once you exert just to get your card draw, and I'm very surprised Jasmine doesn't quest for 2 when Rhino quests for 2 and is really impactful on the board. But besides that, the 1-drop does kind of the same thing. What I was trying to say, sorry, is maybe in the next set when a couple of the threats are down, I will really be higher up on Jasmine being a important card for the color combo, and just a way to have a unique character like that. Like no other color combo will have it. It will be us, and we get to search for these allies like for Dox and Pleakleys and maybe not Cogsworth, I'm not sure, and maybe not a few of these other ones, I'm not sure, but especially Tipo, you can basically make sure you always get ramp on 3, which is really quite cool. And the 1-drop Jasmine, I think, has been proven to be fairly good as well compared, like when we look at the way that the 1-drop Rhino ended up being actually fairly good. If you're able to minus a genie's strength by 1, you can question your Piglet knowing that they have to provide a different answer to answer Piglet or Lady or something like that. So overall, it feels a very consistent resource list. And when Axiom was on not too long ago, a store here in the UK called Brotherhood Games ran a very similar list, focusing in on the ally package. And what I was told is it quite literally stomps like the green matchups because you just play a fairly good resource control-y mid-range game and then you just Cogsworth out and just quest for a bunch. And Cogsworth's always been a threatening card to anything that doesn't have big CC or red removal really, because once it's on the board it's most likely going to stick unless they make the decision to turn it sideways. Outside of Be Prepared, Sisu, you know, red removal, the answers for the card are so little. You know, there's some green like bounce cards, and then there's like Big Cinderella in steel. There are some answers for it, but outside of that, it's fairly hard to remove. So Cogsworth is great, of course. Red's still most likely a matchup you're going to see during the day, so that can be quite rough. But I still really like this list as well. It's one I generally want to play myself now, the more I look at it. And 2 Grab Your Swords in there, like, it's just having like an insane amount of once I've set up these 5 costs, which you're going to get to a bit earlier because you've got the ramp, you can just start singing things. And, you know, singing Whole New World to replenish the entire hand, singing Zeus, top deck, grab your sword, sing it from the any of the 5 drops, the Chi and Po. And then you can put manas on just to put more pressure on. You know, most likely you'll be drawing from Tragic Beast or Dock, so you will be getting decent card draw as well. And everything's going to be getting resist 1 from Cogsworth. So I really like the list. I definitely think if you want to try one of the ally lists before we hit into set 9, maybe getting used to the ally combo cards, this is a great one to look at. The next one I found was Gainz, who got a top 8 with it, it looks like. But I know the gentleman, I went on his channel once to play, and again, this is what I was expecting a bit more. I know it's a dino list, but this is what I was expecting a bit more from a ramp Sapphire Steel deck. But it's really cool. You know, dino was an interesting card where I saw its home in like a Ruby Sapphire Shark deck, like a DKP list. But a lot of people saw it in Sapphire Steel. And to be fair, you know, the way this is looking, like, I probably would have included more Tinkerbells, because cheating out a free Tinkerbell or a Gaston is just really quite epic. Even the McDuck Manas as well, just like there's so much in there that you can just basically cheat out and just throw on the board, even getting a Zeus or a Let It Go or whatever it is. I don't think you can do songs from it, can you? Where is it? I rarely read Dino. Down in New Orleans. Look at the top 3 cards. You may reveal a character, item, or location. No, you can't do the song, sorry. That would be pretty busted. I haven't seen that in a long time. But everything else, I believe the correct play was to put out like either a 6 cost. So I mentioned Ruby Sapphire because you could get what's it called? You could get the shark out, so you could have the shark sing to get another shark out for free. But you can also just slam down McDuck Manas as well, which is really cool. But in here you got Tamatoas and Gaston, so whenever I've seen it played against me, it's always, you know, they have a fairly decent board. They sing this from something, and then they get another thing, and they play something as well. So I've just said the word thing a few times there. But, you know, if you had your Tamatoa sing this, and then you got yourself a free Tinkerbell, and then on top of that you play a Tragic Beast, and you've gone 3 characters wide, just value-wise you should be winning there. I think it could still struggle to play against maybe some of the aggressive decks, and that's why I let the Storm and Strength is in there, and you still got Bell Package to control the board early. But I just think value-wise, if you think about that, maybe in a mid-range game, if you're against maybe Green Steel or Green Purple, or maybe even Ruby Amethyst during the mid-range part of the matchup, you're just getting loads of way more value to them, because that turn you would have spent like maybe a 12 ink turn, if you, or maybe even more than that, depending how much ink you have at the time of singing it, and just go really wide and then out pressure and out value them. And if they're able to, maybe it was against a deck that does have Be Prepared, you could set this up again where you play a 6 cost, sing the song, and then just keep going wide again and just keep applying amazing pressure. And I think maybe even a top deck player is not the worst in the world. Maybe you feel like you're out of the game, and then you top deck it, and then you play it to draw, to play a Tamatoa or whatever, and then get your popsicles back and just keep grinding them out. So I think it's really good. It's a list that I quite respect as well, from a player that I quite respect, is what I was going to say. 1 Cogsworth though, I think if you're playing Sapphire Steel right now, you should really enjoy the maybe the final days of Cogsworth and the full resist boards, and playing against Steel Song where you've got double Cogsworth down and they can't touch your board and you just quest every turn. Yeah, maybe you should do that. I would want to be playing 4 Cogsworth. Hey, and there's Rip Lungs' list, and he has 4 Cogsworth in there, which is awesome. I'd seen Rip Lungs post this list around a few times. He DM'd me to say you should try it out. I had played a little bit on the simulator we don't talk about, and just a bit in practice as well. He very much a lot of pride in his list, and very much backs himself with it, which is something that, you know, you have to really appreciate with the Sapphire Steel players. You know, when they feel like they've got a list cracked. They really do back themselves and say it's good. And he's got a video here as well, if you could find this on the Dreamboard. All of these lists as well are on the popular section of Dreamboard, so I didn't have to look too far for them, which was really great. And yeah, he's just really supports it. I think he got like top 64 at 2 events. I don't know what the like top cut was for the pricing for them was, but yeah, also if you just go into any like Discord that has a Sapphire Steel section in it and he's in the server, like he'll just be talking about the list as well, which is always good fun. But yeah, it looks all solid. I was very intrigued by the docks because in my opinion I thought you would have just kept it out at the top end and, you know, played more Tamatoas, maybe more like the way the dino deck has done, where you've got 4 Talas in there. So on the way up, you're just doing cantrip draw, you know, things like Tala, maybe if you can get a Tragic Beast to stick, the Mari, Gaston. And then Tamatoa should just feed into a decent engine with the Porpskulls in there. But here it looks like you've aimed more for going for a dock, so maybe you play the ramp line out, you know, play a strong curve at an ink advantage, set things up, and then dock. And like if you're at 7 ink and you dock into another Cogsworth, you could set it up and play another Cogsworth. You of course still got Tragic Beast. I think Tragic Beast is quite common in pretty much all of these lists, which is also another card to just enjoy until maybe we don't get it in set 9. But yeah, I think it's all good. Also, Cogsworth and Tragic Beasts always fairly paired well. It's likely most things in the game do 2 damage, so it never would stop it. But, you know, it would mean that, like, if they were planning to Zeus the Tragic Beast, you can say you can Zeus it, it won't be removed. I'll lose the card draw, but you won't remove it, and it's still on the board, and it can basically trade with anything because it gets, like, +4 strength, doesn't it, when it has damage on it. But it's a very interesting list. I think something that Sapphire decks in general can get away with a lot. As you can see it in most of these, not the more aggressive curve one, but especially these lists is, it's something that Blurple's kind of taking full advantage of, is they can just play Bell Porp and do fairly good into early game decks, because it's like, oh, I'm playing against Purple Steel, I might as well, or Amber Steel, I might as well just look for Bell Porp, because if I get it turn 1, I get just such insane like pressure on the board with probably the biggest statted character that anyone can have out turn 1, like bar disagreement with Daisy, I guess. So you can do that just to keep the pressure off. You don't have to include like some of the more jankier 1-drops, like Captain Hook is the one that I'm mainly thinking about. You know, just, you know, those cards that you kind of just want to put in the deck because it's, oh, I'm really not doing anything until turn 3, so I want something on the board. But with Sapphire's ability to use Bell Porp, we can just kind of play that package in there. And then I think cards like Mulan are very good, especially as I think it counts only 11 here, but a lot of this is, I think, because the draw engine for Sapphire Steel was removed basically with Hiram. It's a lot more draw and discard, which actually is in the identity of what they wanted Steel to be like. It's one of the reasons why they said they removed Fortisphere. They didn't want Sapphire Steel to be the item-based deck. They wanted it to be, you know, Sapphire's identity is that you draw a card and you discard a card, or, you know, you draw some cards and then you have to do a discard to do it. So, I mean, that always works with like Doc, Whole New World, all of the cantrip draw and the Mari, all of it's kind of just that, isn't it? They say that, and then you've got cards like Tragic Beast who just say draw an extra card. So I never know much you want to argue their point on Steel's identity as you draw and discard. But overall, the list looks pretty good. I think as well, maybe want to run Tipo in there, but things like, I think it was Jonathan Lamb who ran the Pleakley's first, and if you've got Mulans or Symbols or something like that, you know, that's done a utility, and then you could run it into, say, a Smee, or it's just a body on the board, and then if you have a board of it, you can just Pleakley and ramp yourself. And, you know, going Mulan into Smee, into Pleakley on the Mulan, then play Cogsworth down, that's a pretty fundamentally strong board there. You know, you've got a Quester sort of Rumbler on the board with Smee. Pleakley is just the perfect Rumbler, like he can just take anything out. When I say Rumbler, I mean just a character on board who's ready to fight, and that's kind of what he's going to do. You know, that's why my Amber Steel list is called Let's Get Ready to Rumble, because Rhino is just like the perfect Rumbler right now. And then Cogsworth just to protect everything, and then from there on out you just play Tinkerbells and stuff. And again, even looking at this list as well, it's mad. I think maybe just the inclusion of Tinkerbell in all of them, but it's just, these are very impactful decks into green decks. So if your local scene is getting taken over by the green purple Diablo decks, these are just fundamentally pretty strong into them, I think. Having some cheap removal for the Diablos with like Strength and Let the Storm, and if not, you can shift to Jasmine and play Zeus, and then into the later stages of the game you can just put Tinkerbells down and say whenever you turn anything that's not got evasion sideways, I'm gonna just punish it. And then especially into like a list like this where you could just bet, and as the game goes on I might just top deck, grab your swords and take your whole board anyway. So and also as well, I think majority of these decks could just play into a top game mode. Not a lot of these besides maybe Strength, I would argue are dead draws, like just a draw is not going to do anything for you, especially here as well. Just everything is either a body removal or card draw, or it's going to replace itself. So that's pretty good, and the same here really. That's why I think this has a very nice feel of being like Kiwi, this Justin's list, because, you know, later on, besides like the Jasmine 1-drop, which you probably, yeah, I guess that's the only dead draw. Everything else is either removal, card draw, or something to put on the body, or put on the board. But yeah, this is one of the last ones to look at is Rip Longs' list. I say check out his channel if you like the look of it, and check out his socials as well, because he always talks about it and he's quite proud of it, and no one can really take that away from him. So yeah, I think it's pretty solid. I played a few games of it. I think I'd want more of the card draw into the top end, maybe 4x the Tamatar, but besides that, no, really strong list. And the last one is one of our local sons made a list and put it on Dreamborn, and it got like 4k views, so I had to check it out really and see what it was all about. I'd played against him a couple times locally, and then I saw the list on Dreamborn. I just thought that is an utterly clean list, and I really do like it, so I think it's really worth the mention here. Just going heavy on the ward stuff is probably pretty nice, like getting the kit shift out early can be awesome, and just being as a free quester, just aggressively quest. If you play kit turn 1 into Smee into shift kit, and then just quest out aggressively against some of the Ruby Sapphire decks, that's awesome. So much ward, so Amber Steel can't really touch you as much. And then on top of that, you've got all of the resist from Cogsworth. You've got Pluto as a big body, and it's just doing all the core like Kiwi stuff. You've still got Bell turn 1 in there just to pop off and maybe get a strength singing early, and a few manas in there if you need to get to the end of the game versus the bigger control decks. The most interesting card in here is the Mickey Mouse 2-drop. That's really awesome, but to be honest with you, I think it's pretty solid. I think maybe the only thing is I'd change it for the Jafar, as I've got it in my Kiwi list. But giving Challenger to Calhoun or to Smee or something and running it into what's it called? Rhino has been the strat for a while, so maybe this is the way to do it instead. And to be honest with you, you're 1-3, and once you start getting Cogsworth down to get resist on the board, that seems like a better scenario than Jafar, who, you know, it's a 3-2 quest for 2, you love all those stats, but the fact that he has 2 health, you don't love that. He can be Let the Stormed or just basically removed by so many things. The 2 going from 3 to 2 is so dramatically different. That's why it's always quite scary to quest with me. But overall, again, I've got to back this list. I think it's quite good. I like a lot that's going on in there. And again, Mulan's as the draw and discard is pretty good. I always find as well with Mulan that if you want to go for a heavier mulligan with, and you know that you could brick up on Uninkables, Mulan lets you lean into that thing of, yeah, but I get to clean the hand up at least turn 1 and remove some of these Uninkables and try and fix the curve a bit, and also get a 2-1 on board that they'll probably just throw some chump removal into, or it starts trading up with their 1-drops, or it takes out a Smee. So I'm really liking that, and I like that it's appearing in all lists. And there are some common themes in all of these lists, I think. I think Mulan is... What? No, not really. But Cogsworth and Tinkerbell was pretty good in all of them. And I've noticed the Zeus is what I was going to mention. Sorry. It seems maybe that Sapphire Steel, I think is, I think because they're all including some sort of shift line as well. But Zeus is not too bad in here. And I remember the few times I ran Zeus in Kiwi, it was nice that Pluto had a little bit more to do than just quest for 1. So you could get him to sing Zeus and throw some removal up there. But again, I think if you played versus a green-purple deck, that you could just play out a strong curve, resist up, and just quest out. And any top deck removal, you just throw it at them. You know, manas, just throw it on the board. More bodies as well, and you've got so much ward in there that like they can't Bruno things or Muse bounce things as easily. So yeah, really like this list as well. But there's a few ideas in there. Like I say, I've been sort of saving myself a bit more for set 9 and the release we're going to get there, and how the meta is going to shape up after that. but it's very clear that Sapphire Steel hasn't gone anywhere. It's loads of people popping up in different places with it. Seeing it in some of the bigger events as well. When I went to Italy, my first round opponent was when I went to Italy for the Grand Prix, my first round opponent was a Kiwi player who was speaking French and didn't know who I was. And I don't know, and he beat me as well. He beat me 2-1, and I was on Blurple. And I didn't really know how to process that, besides, Sapphire Steel was still not gone. And I'm always quite happy and excited when I see someone win with Sapphire Steel, even against me. It can be a bit upsetting not upsetting, but it's a strange thing when I'm at like a store champs or something and someone comes up to me and goes, "Oh, I just lost to an Alice Sapphire Steel deck," and I'll just be a little bit of, "Oh, I'm really really happy for that. I'm sad my friend lost, but I'm happy that Sapphire Steel is still around." So yeah, there's definitely a list out there. I think definitely you can take these to your store champs and see out the set, and I think it's never a bad idea to start learning the Alice package, the Alice or the Jasmine package and the Ally package to see if it's any good. That's kind of why I put a bit more time into Blurful, because it's kind of looking like a done deal that Blurful is going to be good into set 9. But the first thing I'm going to do is start trying out Alice Pluto and some Ally builds straight away. So yeah, that's all I've got for today's video.